All right, so today's guest is Patrick Tucker. He has served at the CCSU Registrar since 2012. He previously served at the Registrar of Capital Community College in Hartford and taught part-time in Naugatuck Valley Community College in Waterbury. He was there for several years. Here at Central, his areas of responsibility include overseeing student registration, academic records, degree, audit, graduation, catalog/curriculum, and academic scheduling. He earned both his bachelor's and master's degree at University of Hartford in communications, and he also started working in higher education while at the University of Hartford as an undergraduate admissions tour guide and then as a graduate assistant. Patrick Tucker.
Thanks. Thank you for the introduction and the invitation to come today. I was just saying it's so nice to be able to come out of my office and actually come to an event in person and not be sitting in front of the computer all day. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate that. It's we were just talking a minute ago how it is nice to have kind of campus starting to reopen and starting to see events happening. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks there'll be more of that. Maybe we'll have pizza meetings, and that'd be even better. So, but I really appreciate the opportunity to come talk today. There's obviously a lot of kind of important stuff going on right now. Spring semester, we're just getting ready for advising, registration, graduation, so kind of all stuff that I have my hands in and my team, so we can talk a little bit about that. And I do have some slides I'll share in a minute just to kind of help guide the conversation, and I can show examples of things, but of course if there's questions or whatnot, we can always stop and talk about anything that's interesting or on your mind today. So yeah, I've been here at Central for about 10 years. Like a lot of people that work in higher education, and we were just talking about the list of visitors that you have coming here today. A lot of people that work in higher education got their start as student employees, as graduate assistants, as RAs, as tour guides, as those types of things, and I'm no exception, right? So I've been in college every year since fall 2000, no, not even that, fall 1999. So I have been on a college campus ever since my freshman year and never left. So it's been a really interesting journey as a student employee, as a graduate assistant, and I've had the pleasure of working at some of the community colleges in the state and then here at Central for 10 years. So it's been a great opportunity, and Central's been a great place. But we all know the last year or two has been pretty challenging, right? But we've made it through it, and hopefully we are going to be even in an even better place for this fall semester. And I know something that's really current in a lot of people's mind is graduation too. So we're so excited we're going to have graduation in person, on the football field, more people can attend. So that's a very exciting development going on. So, good stuff. All right, why don't I just put up a couple of the slides here. Let me just share the screen again. And talk a little bit about kind of the registration process. We can talk a little bit about GPA calculations, things like that. But kind of whatever is hot topic. But again, I mentioned there's lots of things going on right now. It is advising. Registration starts as early as this fall semester. We're getting ready for commencement. So again, lots of stuff going on. But really, our focus right now is making sure that students are registration ready, right? So do you know who your advisor is? Have you met with your advisor? Do you have your registration PIN? Do you know when your registration start time is? Do you know how to register? It's really important for students to register on time, right? That's a great way to make sure that you're getting all of the classes that you need to graduate and continue making progress in your program. So now is the time. So if students haven't been meeting with their advisors, they haven't received their PIN. I'm looking around the table. Has everyone made an advising appointment? Okay, good. So we're off to a good start so far. We can talk a little more about some of these processes in case other folks might not be familiar with them, but it is an important period of the year. And of course, my office really is involved with a lot of that. I saw you had Adina Alfont come earlier from the undergraduate advising office. So it's a collaborative effort between our faculty advisors, right, our staff advisors in the undergraduate advising office, my office, and really all the other offices on campus that might have a role in that and supporting our students, whether that's financial aid, whether that's our bursar's office, whether that's health services. So there's a lot of university offices besides mine certainly support the registration process across the university. So as you guys probably know, because you are experts already, as you just demonstrated, but you have to meet with your academic advisor prior to registration. So that's really important. We want to make sure that students understand their graduation requirements of their program, that they're able to meet with their advisor and talk about opportunities that go beyond simply registration for courses, whether that be internships or other types of opportunities that might be available for your program. So that's one of the reasons why we have an advising requirement at CCSU for undergraduates. So it's really important that you are reviewing your degree evaluation, right? That's a tool inside Central Pipeline or Web Central that everyone has access to. And it really is kind of the master tracker of all of the requirements for your academic program and then your progress towards those. So it's a great way for you and your advisor to review your progress, make sure that you're checking things off and moving along in your program. And it's a good way for you, after you register for your courses this spring, to even go back to your degree evaluation and check to make sure that the courses that you just registered for continue to fulfill your requirements that you expected them to, and that you are kind of continuing to document that progress. You can watch the little percent complete go up every semester, hopefully. The goal is to get you to 100%, which means graduation. So that's a really important tool. On a more transactional level, your advisor needs to provide students with their registration PIN, right? So that's a 6-digit number that's unique for every semester, and they're going to ask you for that at the time of registration. That's our way just to confirm that you've met the advising requirement, you've met with your advisor and had that formal chance to check in. You know, a lot of the things that we're talking about here, students have access to themselves, right? So while it's still important to meet with your advisor every semester, you have the opportunity to access a lot of these records yourself. We'll talk more about your transcript and kind of reviewing transcript data in a minute, but your degree evaluation is one that you should be checking on a regular basis to make sure there's no surprises. Again, to make sure that even courses that you're considering taking in a future semesters, there's all sorts of links in there that will provide data on if you have general education requirements that you need to work on, course lists, those types of things. So it's a good one-stop shop to make sure that you're making progress towards graduation. So obviously, same thing with course scheduling. After you've met with your advisor, you know, the course schedule is available online. This is a great tool. I'll go into this for a little bit just because there's some tools on here that you might not necessarily. That didn't bring us to where I thought it was. Okay. So, for the sake of checking, so we'll just select all. But there's a couple things on here that might be helpful to you as you're thinking about your course schedule and course selections for the next semester. This open-close indicator is something that I want to make sure everyone's aware of. So open would be in courses that there's room to enroll. Obviously, we haven't started with registration yet, so everything's open right now. But once we start opening up registration on Friday, we will see some more popular course sections closed right away. So it's important that when you go in to look, that you're making sure you're filtering on open courses. The university does offer courses in a number of different delivery modes. As you know, most of our courses are on ground, kind of traditional in a classroom, but by filtering on schedule type can help you find things like courses abroad through the CIE, which hopefully we'll be able to offer more of those again in the fall. Hybrid courses, which just like a hybrid car, is a little bit of two worlds, both a combination of online and on ground. Whether course is a lab, a lecture course, a combined lecture lab, different options, but also online instruction is in there. There are a very limited number of online courses that are offered in the traditional fall and spring semester. Those tend to fill fast. They tend to be very focused on specific programs because again, we are a more traditional on-ground institution. But if you are looking to take classes over the summer or the winter, you will find more online course offerings. That's a nice way to help kind of continue or even accelerate your progress towards graduation. So the schedule type indicator is very useful in that regards. The other thing that I want to look at is the attribute type at the bottom. And a lot of these attributes that are listed here align with our general education requirements. So if you have to fulfill, again, if your degree evaluation indicate that you still have a study area 1 arts and humanities requirement or a study area 3 behavioral sciences requirement, you can easily do a search based on this attribute. Oops. And this will return all of the courses that fulfill that attribute requirement in the semester. So if you want to make sure that you are finding a course that meets that requirement. So in this example, this is a list of all study area 1 courses for the fall semester. So if you're working on trying to make sure that you're fulfilling your general education requirements, you can make sure that the course search attribute is a kind of a nifty little tool that a lot of people will use right there. So just something different. Okay.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
So I was actually trying to make my schedule earlier before you came in. One of the classes that I was looking at was called, in my degree eval, was like required. It was EDTE 316, but I couldn't find it on the class search.
Okay.
But it did say on degree eval that there was 2 sections offered next semester.
Okay. We'd have to take a look. I know sometimes there's been some curriculum changes with some of those courses. So I know sometimes if we change course numbers or something like that, it might have gotten flipped. But
Okay.
we can take a look before we leave.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so using the course search tool is a great tool. I went too fast without my mouse here. The other thing is determining your registration start time, right? So we run a 2-week early registration period for every fall and spring semester. And again, it's really important that students register as early as possible when their registration time opens. Again, we do prioritize that based on the number of credits that you've earned. So students that are closer to completing their degrees get first priority to registration. And that's a way to help ensure that as you get closer to your degree, you probably have fewer and fewer and fewer courses left to complete. So your choices are fewer. So in many cases, it's important that you register as early as possible so that you get those courses that you need for graduation. It's done based upon your earned credit hours. So you look at your transcript. We'll show some transcript examples in a minute. But you look at your transcript to determine how many credits you've earned. Keep in mind that doesn't count the courses that you have currently enrolled this semester that are in progress. So your earned credits, and then you'd use the lookup tool that we have on the website to determine when your start time would be. So let's say I am an undergraduate student and I have earned 82 credits, let's say. So my registration window will open up on Wednesday, April 6th after 8:30. So that means that anytime on or after Wednesday, April 6th at 8:30, I'm eligible to start registering for the fall semester. There's some other cool videos here at the bottom too, so if anyone wants to watch a little video in terms of how to find your registration start time, to look at your transcript, to figure out how many credits you have, we posted a couple of really helpful videos on the website in different places. That's registration in a nutshell, right? So the really important things, again, is to make sure that you're meeting with your advisor ahead of time and early. So if you've not scheduled an appointment already, you want to make sure you reach out to your academic advisor. Your academic advisor is listed right in Web Central Banner Web. So if your advisor's not made contact with you, or you're not sure who your advisor is, maybe you've changed majors or something like that, you can check your Web Central Banner Web record to determine who your advisor is. It'll provide you with their contact information. You can reach out to determine when they're meeting advising appointments for this fall semester. At your advising appointment, it's really important that you review your degree evaluation to make sure you look at what unmet program requirements you have remaining, and to make sure you get that 6-digit PIN number for the fall semester, because you'll need that to register when your registration window opens up. So those are some of the more important things to keep in mind as you are going through the advising and registration process for this fall semester. Okay, so the other thing that's always a little bit of a mystery to folks is grade point average and what it means, how it's calculated, why it's important. Essentially, we get Kaiser here to help tell us what it means. Your grade point average, sometimes referred to as your quality point average, but it's really a numerical representation of all of your coursework on your transcript, right? So it goes from 0 to 4.0. Every grade that you earn in every course carries different points, right? And those are weighted based upon how many credits that the course carries. So an A in a 1-credit course is different from an A in a 4-credit course, in that the 4-credit course essentially counts 4 times the impact on your GPA. So this is the grading system that we have in place. The traditional letter grade, A through F at the university. Some of you may have been here when we went through kind of a pass-fail process during COVID. So there are some unique grade notations that some of you all might have on your transcript as a result of that for prior semesters. But these are kind of the core grades that we use at CCSU. Other things that you might see are things like withdrawal grades. So if you withdraw from a course and there's a W posted on your transcript, it's important to know that W doesn't count against your GPA. So that oftentimes is a strategy if a student is struggling in a course and it's really in their best decision after consulting with the faculty member about what your options are. If you do withdraw from a course, it doesn't impact your GPA, which is important to remember. Another grade notation that you might see in your transcript is the INC, the incomplete notation. That's something that not a lot of people know about, but it is a temporary notation. So if there's something that happens in the course, maybe there's an illness or an issue or something that really prevents you from completing the coursework successfully, and if you talk to your faculty member and work out a plan to complete your coursework over an extended period of time that might go beyond the traditional end date of the semester, your faculty member could give you an incomplete notation, and that's just a temporary notation that essentially allows you and your faculty member extra time to work through your remaining course requirements. So that might be an option rather than withdrawing from a course, right? If a student is experiencing something that's challenging or unexpected during the semester, to talk with your instructor, right? And see maybe would an incomplete be appropriate? Could I work with your faculty member for a little bit of extra time to make up my coursework? Incomplete grades are temporary, like I said, and they don't count against you on your GPA. And the same thing with pass-fail. So some of us have pass-fail notations on our transcript from earlier in the semester or earlier in 2020, 2021, when the pass-fail policy was temporarily expanded. Pass grades do not count towards your GPA. But thankfully we are past that and back to our normal grading scenario this year. So a little bit more about this, here's kind of a sample of a transcript. So if you look at your transcript on Web Central Banner Web, right, every semester we'll have a little segment like this that lists all of your coursework. So in this example, looks like it was probably a social work student. They enrolled in a math course and 3 social work classes, it looks like, during the spring 2020 semester. Their grades were very good. They got an A in one, an A in the other, a B+ in one, a B in the other. In this example, it's easy. They're all 3-credit courses. But those calculations that we just talked about a minute ago in terms of the quality points based on the letter grade that you've earned, that's really where that shows up in that quality points column. So that A grade for 3 credits generates 12 quality points. That B+ for 3 credits generates 9.9 quality points. That D grade for 3 credits generates 9 quality points. So the sum of the quality points for the semester is really that 42.9. Divide that by 12 hours that you've attempted. GPA for the semester is 357. So the student did very well this semester. But that's really how this works. It's a little bit of a mystery in some sense, but you should be able to back into these numbers yourself. So if you're ever kind of looking at your own transcript and curious how your GPA calculation was completed, using the table that we looked at a minute ago, you should be able to recreate this calculation here. There are some unique things to think about with regards to your GPA. And there are some strategies that we can talk about if you are trying to improve your GPA or have a difficult semester. So there's lots of different implications for your GPA, right? So the university has a good academic standing policy that says all students need to be in a standing with a GPA of at least 2.0 or higher. Otherwise, there's an academic probation and dismissal process that we go through. For anyone who's a financial aid recipient, there's a similar policy that's applied, looking at, well, one of the things they look at is your GPA. Sometimes external scholarships that you might qualify are dependent upon your GPA. There's other internal recognitions like Dean's Lists and President's List recognitions that are dependent upon your GPA. We were talking about graduation earlier. The ability to graduate with honors is dependent upon GPA. Sometimes your eligibility to participate in student activities, leadership development, those types of things are GPA dependent. Honor societies, if you're applying for internships, if you're applying for jobs. So there's a lot of implications if you're applying for graduate school. So your GPA matters a lot. But there are some strategies that we can talk about in terms of sometimes students have a difficult semester, have a difficult course. All is not lost. There's lots of different strategies that you can work with from your advisor to improve your GPA or to get back into good standing or get back into a situation where you're eligible for some of these recognitions that we're talking about here. So things like the course repeat policy. We have a policy at Central that allows a student to repeat a course that they completed once or attempted once. So if you repeated a course and earn a higher grade the second time, we have a GPA exclusion policy that allows you to include the second attempt of the course and essentially exclude the first attempt from your GPA calculation. So that's a really good strategy. If you had a difficult course or a difficult semester, you got a D, you got an F in a course, you repeated it, you got an A or a B, the A or the B would count in your GPA, we'd remove the lower grade from the first attempt. So that's probably one of the most popular ways to kind of look at your GPA kind of reset. We talked before about the withdrawal policy, right? That's an option that students have in consultation with their faculty member, or just like the incomplete grade policy that we talked about. You know, these are ways where students can, if you're in a challenging academic situation or a challenging course, to be able to talk with your professor and say, okay, this is how I'm doing right now, what are my options? So one of those things, hopefully, is considering whether withdrawal would be in the most beneficial circumstance or not. Again, keeping in mind that the W doesn't count in your GPA. Is there something that came up in the semester that an incomplete grade might be appropriate? These are types of conversations to have with your faculty member. I think a lot of students, unfortunately, might just put up their hands and run away and not have that conversation, but it's really, you know, your faculty members want to talk to you about your standing. They want to talk to you about how you're doing. They want to talk to you about strategies for your success in the course. So sometimes that's an uncomfortable conversation, right? Sometimes going to office hours is not something you're used to, but these are some of the conversations that you can have. The same thing, like we talked about summer or winter courses earlier. If you enrolled in a summer or winter course and do well, that just, again, is going to compound and calculate into your GPA. Talking about the number of courses that you take per semester, right? Sometimes you see students who, you know, many of our students at Central are juggling lots of responsibilities. We're probably all juggling lots of responsibilities, right? We are students, we are children, we are babysitters, we are employees. So we're often juggling lots of responsibilities. And so thinking about how many courses you're taking each semester can impact your GPA, right? It's easier to focus on 2 or 3 courses, and if you're enrolling part-time based upon other obligations that you have, that's fine, right? The university is designed to accommodate full-time or part-time enrollment, so that's a good strategy. And there's a number of academic resources here. I think you had, Jackson was here from the Learning Center earlier. The Learning Center has some great programming to help students kind of who might find themselves in academic probation or struggling academically. So there's lots of resources here at Central to support that. But again, kind of all moving in that same direction of helping to, how can we make sure that you are doing as well as possible, using the tools that you have at your disposal and getting good advice from the people at different areas across the university that can help support you in your success. So lots of things to think about in terms of your GPA. But again, some people think it's a mystery, but it is something that you can back into yourself. So if you're laying in bed at 2 in the morning, can't sleep one night, you can open up your transcript and pull out your calculator and try to figure out if you can back into the same number that we came up with here that we calculated for you.
When it comes to withdrawing from a class, is there like a certain day you have to do that by, or does it depend on the class and the professor?
Yeah. So the university's withdrawal policy permits students to withdraw up to the 12th week or equivalent. So in shorter sessions, like summer or winter, it's kind of prorated based upon the number of weeks in the session. But for a traditional 15-week semester course, it's the end of the 12th week without permission. So in many cases, students have a lot of time, right, to see how they're doing and to work with their faculty member. You might have a course where you're, 2 or 3 weeks in, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not sure what your options are. Like, you don't need to make a rush decision, right, and withdraw. You have time to stick it through. You have time to work with the resources at the institution. You have time to talk to the faculty member, to go to office hours, to attend tutoring. So there's a pretty big window where students have to kind of evaluate your standing and to figure out if withdrawing is a good option for you or not. The other thing to think about is, while withdrawing doesn't impact your GPA, there are some other considerations, right? So for those of us that are financial aid recipients, which is the majority of students at Central, one of the things that they do look at is, are you making progress towards your degree, right? So your GPA, that's one indicator of you're making progress towards your degree. But are you successfully completing the courses that you attempt every semester is another measure that they make, right? So if you are withdrawing from a lot of courses, right, you're not necessarily making as much progress towards your degree as a student who successfully completes all of their courses. So anytime that a student is considering withdrawing, certainly talking to your faculty member is a great bit of advice, but also talking to financial aid is another really good piece of advice to say, okay, I realize if I withdraw from this course, it's not going to count against me in my GPA, but what impact would that have, if any, on my ability to continue receiving financial aid at the institution? So that might be somebody good for next semester to get or Ed Gladys here from Student Financial Literacy, but that might be some good for someone from our financial aid office to come talk like this, because often there's a lot of, financial aid is one of those things that can be a little confusing. It's a federal government thing, right? So it's complicated, and there's lots of different rules. So that might be kind of a good suggestion for somebody else that might be good to come talk.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Anything else we want to talk about? I will say, I'll share the website for the Registrar's Office. Has a lot of good stuff up here, so I know if you haven't had a chance to
But transferring credits.
Yep.
I know that transfer credits, you get the credit, but it doesn't really impact your GPA. But if you're trying to do summer courses, let's say at Southern or another CSU, let's say Capital or MCC. Besides the form, how would you have to go about, getting the permission and getting it transferred, let's say before your next semester starts? Or would you, because I tried doing that last year and I did everything I had to, but my grades did not transfer in until like maybe the 3rd week of the semester.
Okay. From the other institution.
So I still had the class on my schedule because I thought, right, if it transfers, great. If it doesn't, well, class is still there. I can still make the grade here and then. So is that a good strategy when you're doing it, or is it something else?
The best thing to do, right? So for current Central students, you want to make sure, right, before you go to Manchester Community College or Tungus or Southern and enroll in a course and pay money for a course there, you want 100% assurance that when you successfully complete that course, it's going to come back to Central, right? It's going to be accepted for transfer, and it's going to fulfill the requirement that you needed to check off on your degree evaluation, right? That's the biggest thing. So for currently enrolled students, and you mentioned a form when you were talking, so that was a good lead-in, right? Because the most important thing to do is the request for transfer credit evaluation or transfer credit approval, and this really should be done ahead of time. So before you go to Manchester Community College or wherever you're going, before you put money down for a course, before you invest your time in completing that coursework, you want assurance that that course, as long as you successfully complete it, is going to transfer back here and fulfill the requirement that you expect it to. So everyone should be doing the transfer credit approval ahead of time, right? So this is filed with my office. This essentially lets us know the course that you intend to take at the institution where you intend to take it. And we'll do a review based upon how our faculty have articulated and done a review of courses at other institutions. We'll return to you with 100% satisfaction exactly how we're going to transcript the course here at Central, right? So if you go and take a math something somewhere else, you want confirmation that's going to transfer back here as math 1, 2, 3, and it's going to fulfill that requirement on your degree evaluation. So this is what this will do. And whether it's going to fulfill a general education credit or not, again, you want to have this in your hand before you go to the other institution and, again, invest your time, money, and otherwise. The big thing is for transfer credit, you need to earn a minimum grade of a C minus in order for the transfer credit to be eligible to transfer back here to Central. But as you correctly noted, we record transfer credit not with a letter grade, it's just a notation that it's transferred.
TR.
Yep, so we're going to give you the credit that's used, and that'll be applicable towards your degree evaluation. But your GPA is only calculated with coursework that you complete here at CCSU. So transfer credit coursework does not count in your GPA. But you still need to have that record sent to us as soon as possible when you complete that course. So I think that gets at the time delay that you were talking about.
I believe I sent it as soon as I got the grade itself. I saw, oh, my grade is available.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes there's little hangups as records transfer between a lot now. It's done electronically.
Right.
So we accept electronic transcripts from other institutions. So if that's the case, that gets it over to us really in the same day. We can do a review and get it posted much faster.
Okay.
A couple years ago when a lot of transcripts were still snail mail and printed out in paper, right? It might take a week or 2 or 3 to get that review and accepted and posted and whatnot. So, but the big thing is really getting the approval done. Because once you've gotten the approval done ahead of time, as long as you get that minimum grade that's required, it's going to be accepted for transfer. And it's just a matter of kind of facilitating that process once you successfully complete it. That's a good question. But yeah, feel free. There's lots of other stuff on the website. You can check it out. We've got a form for everything, right? But the best thing is, give my office a call. We've got our general phone number, our email address there. We have a whole group of folks that work primarily on student service that are here to help you with questions like this or other things that come up. If you call my office, you're always going to get someone. If you send me an email, we're always going to respond as quickly as possible. Even if it's, hey, I'm not sure what office on campus I have to talk to, but let me start here. We're happy to help. So we have a whole group of people that really are dedicated to doing student service and working collaboratively with your academic colleagues, financial aid, Bursa, or other offices on campus to kind of help unpack questions that you might have and make sure that you get the right information. So give us a call, stop by and see us. Now that we don't get as many walk-in visitors as we used to back in the day, but you're always welcome to stop in and see us now that we're in Liberty Loretto for the past 2 years. It's a lot more activity in there, so if you get a class in there, stop in and see us. If you got a question, give us a call, shoot us an email. We're here to help. Anything else? All right. Are we sort of on our time target for the day?
Yeah.
Okay,
That was
all
really
right.
helpful.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, I really appreciate the invitation to come talk to you. And if you have any other questions, you're always welcome to follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure having you today.